So this is why there's a shortage of manpower on the Russian-Ukrainian battlefield. This is a true reflection of the shortage situation. Let's put everything else aside and just look at the battlefield. The proportion of elderly soldiers reveals the extent of the manpower shortage on both sides. In Irmau's area, it's not uncommon for veterans over 60 years old to go to the battlefield. Rare occurrences include the elderly veteran Irmau who is carrying artillery shells. Just by looking at his gray beard, you could tell he was at least 60 years old. Not only that, but even veterans of his age. Already, it is also difficult to carry out frontline combat missions on the battlefield. They will be arranged to some relatively safe places. The place is responsible for transporting supplies or other relatively easy tasks. Similar to him is this veteran who loves collecting scraps. Before the battlefield, he liked to collect recyclables to supplement his family's income. Now that he's on the battlefield, this good habit. The habit was naturally preserved. He quickly collected various discarded ammunition and weapon remnants. In order to cope with the shortage of soldiers on the battlefield, not only the age range for male conscription was adjusted, it is constantly expanding, and there are many more. Female soldiers also appeared on the battlefield, and some even retired due to injuries or disabilities. The soldiers also returned to the battlefield. Many soldiers in the army rely on prosthetics to move around. We don't know where such soldiers go. Would he be a burden to his teammates on the battlefield? Not to mention those who are using crutches. Among the elderly soldiers who went to the battlefield, various old, weak, sick, and disabled people appeared. The Battle of Bakhmut was the most brutal urban battle fought by the Soviet Union since World War II. In order to win, the city continues to deploy heavy troops around this small town of only 41 square kilometers. The German army amassed 100,000 troops, including the Magna Group paratroopers and light infantry. Armed Section 1, 902nd Tank Track 21 rocket launcher. Artillery bombardment combined with infantry infiltration tactics compressed the Ukrainian army's defensive lines. The Ukrainian army deployed 120,000 defensive troops. A large number of elite brigade-level units relied on Western-aided M777 Howitzers and spring-loaded weapons. Human-machine construction defense line adopts no human-machine needle T plus long-range strike tactics complete. Cheng Fan. After a fierce 2-4-day tug-of-war, the Liu family suffered 100,000 casualties, becoming the second-largest army in China to be defeated. Post-war, brutal urban battlefield. High-rise buildings reduced to ruins. But now, the streets and alleys are filled with rubble, and all that remains of the former homes is devastation. The ruins may be in. We who live in peacetime simply cannot comprehend the cruelty of war. Please note that this is what Russian soldiers choose when facing death on the Russo-Ukrainian battlefield. This Russian soldier was forced to surrender. Soldier wounded. The enemy was severely weakened and had lost the ability to escape, pleading with the Ukrainian military drones for help. The Ukrainian army did not bomb him but agreed to his surrender, so this man. Prisoners of war. Guided by Ukrainian drones, they marched towards Ukrainian positions, passing through the sergeant's quarters after the battle. The soldier was seriously wounded and had been in the long term. Food shortages caused him to collapse quickly, so he gestured to the drone in supplication. After drinking water, the soldier struggled to climb out of the battle area, following the drone. Hao limped and collapsed after taking only 2 steps. But urged on by the drone, he quickly stood up and began to walk. After passing through several heavily bombarded positions, the soldier was too exhausted to walk and collapsed. There was no army or manpower available. 2 soldiers were dispatched after reconnaissance confirmed that the airspace above the aircraft was safe. Accepted in the past. This is the current state of the road in Irmau's village as described by Russian soldiers. The road was completely surrounded by fishing nets. This is actually to deal with. The drones were simply because the Russian family had too many. Moreover, the cost of eliminating 1 drone is only a fraction of the cost of a single kill. 2,000 RMB in. Mass production using civilian-grade parts and 3D printing technology. This is much cheaper compared to the average of tens of thousands of bullets needed to eliminate 1 enemy. The cost per soldier is significantly higher for drones, especially given the situation in Ukraine. According to departmental statistics, there are approximately 169% of the Russian army. Casualties caused by drones are far more lethal than those caused by traditional munitions. These drones are truly formidable. Ghost? No, but many times. To conserve electricity, they would choose to hide along the roadside and wait for an opportunity to strike. Vehicles he had wrecked were often seen everywhere, so someone came up with the idea of Using fishing nets to deal with drones. The method has been proven by practice. Once a drone's propeller gets entangled in a fishing net, it cannot escape and will ultimately only. There was a battery depleted and waiting to be collected, but the two sides faced off. It's a constant battle of wits, with the devil always one step ahead. Nobody knows how long this method will last. Please pay attention. This is the structure of the unmanned bomber that emerged during the German-Ukrainian War. It's not complicated. It's just mounting 6 items on the belly of a regular quadcopter drone. Modified ammunition. Reloading ammunition into the barrel is even simpler. Simply insert the 82mm mortar shell into the bomb disposal chamber. The canister can be hung on a hook under the belly of the drone, allowing the drone bombardier to operate from a distance. Cheng piloted the drone to fly to the enemy position as needed. Compared to traditional FPV self-defense aircraft, which can launch different numbers of shells. Higher payload and longer range for human and aircraft. Greater power. Yesterday, the 28th, the long-running 840-day battle officially came to a close. Stop symbol. Official reports and frontline sources finally. No longer concealing a fact, the Ukrainian army. The team has completely withdrawn from the western region of Chasiv. This incident began on April 4, 2024, when Russian BMP armored vehicles charged towards Kanavi. The long battle that began in the district and has continued all the way to this point has finally come to an end. All major media outlets are waiting for definitive battle reports. The geolocation data from New Zealand MIC Credit provided the final determination of the entire Chasiv. Phil was completely bombarded. The main force of the defending troops has packed up and left after more than 840 days of continuous fighting. The once vital passageway of Donbas is now, in aerial footage, barely complete. The street outlines were no longer discernible. The sturdy fortifications originally used for defense were all mauled. The artillery shells were blasted into irregular mud pits. Compared to the previous 8-month-long battle for Bakhmut, Chasiv was a disaster. The intensity will only increase, not decrease. For more than 2 years, Russian ground offensive forces have been operating almost entirely on high ground. The crossfire network spread inch by inch through the ruins. Inch forward. Move. They don't. Only guard against the front. Heavy machine gun sweep. They also had to constantly dodge long-range shells coming from the direction of Slavyansk. Kyiv was originally determined to defend this high ground at all costs. The note is in him. Their defense blueprint for Chasiv is not only about the Donbas Canal defense. The absolute center of the line is even more the entire. If the load-bearing walls on the northern front were to collapse, the canal defense line would be directly severed more critically. Chasiv is the eastern gateway to Slavyansk, as long as this place is defended. Russian heavy artillery could not cover it. Slavyansk city. At the same time, he could also fiercely protect the flank of the Konstantinovka fortress from the north. However, this strategy involves betting the lifeline of hundreds of thousands of troops on a few fixed coordinates. The fortress chain tactic has a key factor. Life. Physical flaws. Use solid city walls to deal with. The dynamic infiltration of the defending troops was this time. The forced abandonment of Chasiv was not due to the high ground on the front lines. It was not taken by a strong attack, but because the rear defense was breached. A breakthrough was achieved by piercing the Russian lines at Konstantinovka on the south side. Sexual progress directly penetrated the hole. Strip protection. With the collapse of the load-bearing wall beneath the line, Chasiv, once an impregnable highland fortress, was now a fortress. In an instant, it transformed from a shield against artillery fire into. It has become a cage that cuts off the retreat of its own troops, if it is not established. The troops were immediately withdrawn from the front line. Approaching. The rapid contraction of the desperate battle situation where the entire army was cut off by the river and wiped out. The Russian army gained complete control faster than expected. After capturing Kanking, they did not stop to catch their breath but immediately launched a series of pursuits westward. As of the evening of the 26th of this month, frontline battle reports at the time showed that the Russian vanguard was equipped with. Unit A has already traveled a route. Russian troops have penetrated into the eastern suburbs of Druzhkovka, now in Donbas. On the map, Russian troops are. The 3 directions are Limanka-Sovir and Druzhkovka, locked tightly like iron clamps. Kramatorsk-Krasyansk, a twin city cluster. It's Donetsk's last hurdle, if they can get a hand here. Full-scale seat change. It becomes a fait accompli when all defensive resources are consumed in one fixed location. Once the flank collapses on the theoretical coordinates, did the so-called impregnable fortress turn out to be a trap that buried our own troops? Will the Twin Cities repeat this ending? What do you all think? Please note, Look, this is the M777 Howitzer that caused significant losses to the Russian army during the Russia-Ukraine conflict. It is also the world's lightest 155mm grenade. The cannon is made entirely of titanium alloy, which accounts for as much as 25% of its total composition. Body weight less than 4 tons. When cumbersome traditional heavy artillery gets stuck in the mud. In muddy conditions, only one Cherokee 47 Chinook helicopter is needed. It can quickly deploy M777 to where needed. Want. The howitzer, developed and manufactured by the British company Bay Systems, was deployed to the target position. Fires multiple 155mm high-powered shells, including conventional grenades or extended-range grenades and the M982 Divine Sword missile. Don't let its lightweight fool you. It's firing. Stabilize. Its nature is extremely strong, and its firepower is also. Without compromising on weight reduction, the M777 is equipped with an integrated digital fire control system. The system launches M982 Divine Sword guided missiles. Effective range can reach 40 kilometers, and the impact error is no more than 10 meters. Its kill diameter is 100 meters, and its fragmentation kill radius is as high as 5,000 square meters. Although it does not possess super. Despite its long range, the M777 has very high practical value in complex operations. Rapidly locate artillery in combat environment. Or target strike. He tore off his clothes with his extreme weight of 4 tons. Shedding the cumbersome label of heavy artillery, the strategy adopted is to prioritize lightweight design and mobility for survival.